Good day, everybody. I'm Victor Bravo, and today we're talking about the test drive. Let's pretend like you already have a photograph of their driver's license, you already have their phone number saved in your phone, and I always recommend that you drive the car off of the lot first. And the reason is because there's so many buttons in the car, especially if it's a limited or a touring, and they're coming from an older Subaru or a different brand. They may not be used to all the buttons, and it can be overwhelming. So you want to point out some things to them to get them comfortable and get them prepared to be able to take the drive in a relaxed state of mind. That way they're not tensed up and anxious. And so the first thing that you want to do is drive the car off of the lot, point out, especially on the right side of the steering wheel, how to turn on the cruise control, and then show them on the center display screen that there's a car that's there, and then there's horizontal lines in front of it, that each one of those lines represents a car length, and that they could decrease or increase the gap that their car is going to hold them while their cruise is set by how many lines are shown in front of the car in the center display screen. And then you also want to point out that the blinker's just like normal, show them the blind spot detection, that those little lights on the side mirrors are going to light up if somebody's there. If they put the blinker on while those lights are lit up, the car thinks they're going to make a lane change with somebody there, and then it starts to flash. So if it's flashing or if it's lit up, don't make the lane change. So once they're comfortable in the car and you've showed them the few things, then you want to have them switch seats with you. So you want to put them in the driver's seat and then get their seat comfortable for them. So show them the button that if they hit the front of the button, that is for under the knee support, and that'll reduce fatigue in their legs when they go on long drives. If they hit the back of the button, that'll tilt their booty up so they can see up and over the hood. And then show them how the bolster inflates with air to support their ribs when they're adjusting their lumbar support on the back. And also the headrest can click forward depending on how much support they want for their head. Once they have their mirrors, then you want to get them out on the road. Now, I always tell my customers when they get on the freeway, don't be shy. We're going to be on this road for about 4 miles, so you have plenty of time to get over to the fast lane. So once they get on the lane in the fast lane, then I have them set their cruise control. Once their cruise control is set, then I have them move over to the slow lane to get behind somebody, and then that's how I demonstrate the eyesight and how it works on the cruise control. And then it'll slow them down, and then I just point out the fact, like, look, your cruise is set at 72 miles an hour, but we're actually going 56 because the car in front of us is there. And then once that car leaves, then it beeps, and I'll say, okay, so now since it beeped, it's just letting you know that car is no longer in our way. It's taking us back up to 72 miles an hour. That's how I demonstrate the eyesight cruise control. And then what I recommend is my test drive route is about 15 minutes long, and I go out into the country, out into the middle of nowhere, so that way I can really show the car. It's hard to do that in the city. So if you live in the city, you're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to take some time to really build this thing up to where you can display all of the features that the Subaru has to offer. So one of the cool things that I do is once I get off at our exit from the freeway, I have them go to it's a pretty big space, and then I have them drive into the middle of the space, and I tell them, crank the wheel hard left until the wheel locks. Now we're going to make a couple of revolutions here, so keep that wheel in the lock position and give it a little bit of gas. Once the car starts to move and we're making that first turn, then I tell them, give it a little more gas, and a little more gas, and a little more gas, until we're going at least 7-8 miles an hour in a circle, in a really tight circle. And I point out the fact, look, it's like a pivot. We're spinning on that back wheel back there. This car makes super tight U-turns. And this is important to you because this makes it super easy to park when you're in busy parking lots, like when you're going to Target, Walmart, or Costco. And that automatically puts it in their brain, okay, I can easily park this car. Even though it's a bigger car, if they're in an Outback or an Ascent, it doesn't matter. Even a Forester, I tell them the same thing. Same thing goes with the WRXs or the Imprezas. Look, this thing makes super tight U-turns, and this makes it super easy to park, and that's why this is important for you. And it's just planting the seed in their mind that when they go to park this car after they buy it, they're going to have an easy time parking it in busy parking lots. Then after that, I tell them, look, you remember back when I was showing you the car, I pointed out the fact that the motor is placed perfectly in the center of the engine bay. Okay, now we're going to be going through some windy roads here. Now, I just want you to pay attention to how our cars are not top heavy. They don't lean when you go through the curves. Accelerate through these curves and just pay attention to the control that you have when you're driving the car. And then when they're driving through those curves, I tell them, give it a little gas. And then once they accelerate through, you see how that feels? And they say, yeah, it's really cool, huh? Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah. And you just want to get your customer in the habit of saying yes to you. So the more times they say yes to you, when you go to ask them to buy the car, is that payment comfortable? Yeah, great. Sign right here. And it's that. So from the dead stop, I always have my customer floor it, hammer down on the gas. And once they hammer down on the gas and the car starts to pick up speed, I tell them, notice how the front of the car is not lifting up. And then I said, is there anybody behind us? And then they check their mirror. And once they say no, I tell them, tap on the brakes. And when they tap on the brakes, the car doesn't dip down. And I say, that is what we call pitch and bounce control. And that's why people don't get motion sickness in Subarus, because the car's not lifting and dipping every time you accelerate or hit the brake, which is really cool if you're going on long drives or in the mountains. Now, you're going to need a long straight road in order to demonstrate the importance of all-wheel drive on the flat ground, just like it's important on the snow and in the mountains and crossing rivers and stuff like that. Because if they go and talk to any other salesperson in your town that doesn't sell a Subaru, that salesperson is going to tell them, why are you going to go look at Subarus? They have all-wheel drive system. That's a waste of your money. We live on the flat ground. You don't need all-wheel drive system. And that sticks in their customer's mind. So you have to be prepared to demonstrate why all-wheel drive system is just as important on the flat ground like it is in the snow and in the mountains. So you're going to need a long stretch of road for this. And basically what I do is I tell my customer, and we're out in the country, by the way. So what I do is I tell my customer, take our car and put it over the yellow line. And then start to shimmy the wheel a little bit. You get a feel for that? Yeah. Okay, now give it a little bit of gas. Now keep shimmying. That's right. Now shimmy it a little bit more. And then what you want to do is you want to get the car rocking. And once the car's rocking left and right, back and forth, then you tell them, now when you do that, doesn't it kind of feel like the car's pulling itself or like it's pushing itself? They're always going to say yes. Yeah. Okay, now that's the all-wheel drive trying to correct itself. Now let's come over here to the right lane, and we're going to pretend like we're on the freeway and there's a great big truck in front of us, and that truck has a dresser behind it. If that dresser was to come flying out toward us in a split second, when I count to 3, I want you to pretend like that dresser is coming right toward us, and you're going to make an evasive maneuver into the left lane to avoid that dresser, and then come right back into this lane. 1, 2, 3. And when they jerk the wheel to the left and then they come back, the Subaru always corrects itself, and they do it flawlessly. Then I have them stop the car. Stop the car. Once I have them stop the car, then I tell them, that right there is the #1 killer in America. If you were to do that in a front-wheel drive car or a truck that's rear-wheel drive, that's when people overcorrect. Those cars are top-heavy, then they flip the car, and then they kill themselves. That never happens in a Subaru. And that's why all-wheel drive is just as important on the flat ground like it is in the snow and in the mountains. Very cool. All 4 wheels all the time. There's no minimum speed requirement for our all-wheel drive to kick in. That's why all the other manufacturers, they could never climb a steep road or an icy mountain, smash the brake halfway up, and then continue to keep traveling up, because they have a minimum speed requirement of 25 or 27 miles an hour in order for the all-wheel drive to kick the power from the front wheels to the back. They always roll back. Now, the cool thing about Subaru is that it can throw the power wherever it needs it in any combo at any time, and that's the difference of what separates us from everybody else. And we don't have to spend $60,000, $70,000 to get the benefits of that all-wheel drive system, which is huge, which makes it affordable. Now, I have a roundabout on-ramp that's pretty much out in the country, so what I always do is I tell my customers, look, go on, this is our on-ramp here. Now, go really slow at first, because I want to point some things out to you. Now, when we come down into this downward slope, it's throwing 90% of the power to the front wheels, because that's where all the weight of the car is. Now, hammer down on the gas and pay attention to how it throws the wheels the power to the back wheels. And then once they start to accelerate instinctively, after like maybe 100, 200 feet on this on-ramp, they always let off of the gas because they think that the car's going to slip out. They're going to lose control of the car. So I say, no, stay in the gas. And when they stay in the gas, the car continues to stick all the way through. And then once they come out, I tell them floor it. And then the excitement and the adrenaline that they feel when they're coming out of that curve, going fast, I always reinforce with an anchor. I'd be like, you're a great driver. You're an amazing driver. Good for you. And then they're like, yeah, and they're laughing and they're giggling. And then once we get out onto the freeway, I tell them, man, I can easily tell how much more confidence you have right now in your driving. Yeah, and then they're putting the blinker on, they're passing the car in front of them, because now they know. Now they know what this car is and what it does. And this is where I ask my obligating question. And this is where I commit them. And we're going to get into that in the next video.